how are you? I hope you guys are having an amazing day today. Hello and welcome to Glowmas. I love doing videos like this. I love roasting products. If you're new here, one of my favorite things to do. I think it's really fun to roast makeup in general, and especially makeup that it's like, maybe you saw it and at first you were kind of like, okay, but then ultimately you skipped it and you know that you were just like a better person for it. So we're gonna jump right into that today, and before we do, this video is sponsored, so roll to that. Hi friends, Editing Me here, and today's video is sponsored by Casetify. You guys know I've been using Casetify for a few months now. I absolutely love their phone cases. They have new MagSafe compatible mirror cases. The cases come in a bunch of different colors like classic silver, bronze, and black mirror. I think the black mirror is my favorite. You can see in this one, it's just super sleek and cool looking. They're drop test approved for 5 feet, and they also have a lifted camera ring, so it offers a bunch of protection around where your phone is most likely to break, which is your camera. These mirror cases are made from 50% recycled material and sent to you in 100% recycled packaging. So they come in a ton of different patterns and designs, and even ones that you can customize. You can see here, I have the little glow one that's like super mirrored that I love. Casetify's Impact and Ultra Impact cases are made of 65% recycled and plant-based material, and their Ultra Impact cases are drop test approved for up to 9.8 feet, which I can actually completely attest to the fact that these phone cases can get through anything. I drop my phone constantly, and these are always protecting it. I've never had like a crack or a break with these cases on. There are a ton of different print options, like a huge variety. So you can pick cow prints, shark prints, florals, just like literally anything. And on top of that, they have a ton of amazing collaborations that they do. I have a few of their collaborations and I really love them. And the cases feature an antimicrobial coating that kills 99% of bacteria and prevents bacteria from sticking to the case surface. I love these phone cases. They're super easy to keep clean. I literally only use Casetify at this point. If you're interested in trying Casetify, you can go to casetify.com/SmokeyGlow to save 15% off your new phone case. Thank you so much to Casetify for sponsoring this video and keeping my phone safe. And let's jump into the video. Okay, the very first, I'm gonna scoot over this way so you can actually, I can put pictures. Oh my God, candle of the day, Peach Bellini. We have Miss Peach Bellini in the back. Everybody, let's hear it for Peach Bellini. Woo! Peach. Okay, been a long day. Okay, so the very first product I'm glad I skipped is from Beauty Bakery, and this is their artesian brushes. Now, I saw these and I was like, my interest was piqued, okay? I was kind of like, okay, this is cute. I have to say, I know I've said it a million times, but I'll say it a million more. I absolutely love the Beauty Bakery aesthetic. I love the way that they make everything very baking themed, cooking themed. When that brand first started, I low-key was like a little nervous because I was like, okay, how hard can they like milk the baking thing? Because I feel like when you're sort of a niche brand like this, it's easy to run out of ideas because there's only so many baked good or baking themed things that you can come up with. But so far, they've done a great job at really keeping the brand cohesive. I think the secret to their success is that they don't launch a ton of products. They just launch like 1 or 2 really good ones and then go from there. So anyway, along with this launch, they did come out with these little like sprinkle loose glitters. I was never gonna buy those in the first place. Loose glitters are a nightmare for me. Like there's just no way. But I saw these brushes and I was like, okay, kind of cute. Ultimately, I'm very glad I skipped these for a couple of reasons. Number one, they are most definitely a gimmick. Like I would safely say that these brushes fall into the sort of gimmicky category. You're not really buying them because you've heard there's some like amazing jaw-dropping, incredible eyeshadow brushes. You're buying them because they look like little baking utensils, which is objectively very cute. So I wouldn't have been buying them for the quality anyway. And on top of that, these brushes look a little strange to me, just in the sense that a lot of them are very small. Like they seem like mostly detail brushes. And I think if you do your makeup or you're like a makeup artist who does a lot of detail work with your eyeshadow and you're always doing like really intense cut creases or you're doing whatever, I think that that's really beneficial. But if you're someone like me who does a lot more sort of blown out, really like blended out eyes that are just like a little bit more basic and simple, I don't think I would have actually gotten a lot of use out of these brushes just because there's no like blending brush.
There's no like fluffy blending brush in sight. I think one of them kind of is, but even that seems like a smaller, more detail-oriented blending brush, which I don't think I would have been super into. I also think on top of that, I don't know if that's just a me thing, I do not need any more brushes. I quite literally have too many at this point. Like there's no need ever for me to own more makeup brushes until these ones start like deteriorating and getting disgusting. So I don't really need makeup brushes anyway. And on top of that, buying a pack of like 5 eye brushes is just kind of a lot when you can get packs of brushes from like BH Cosmetics, Elf Cosmetics, literally just online. Like you can get packs of brushes that are going to be like good to decent quality, where you could get face brushes as well, or you could get just like a much better value than what you're getting with this set. You're mostly just paying more for less because it has cute little baking utensils on it. And I just feel like that's kind of silly. Just a little goofy. So yeah, I am glad that I skipped these ultimately, even though when I first saw them, I was like, oh my God. I'm not even a huge baker. I do love to bake around the holidays, but like during the year, I'm not like the biggest baker, but I get so sucked into baking themed products. Like I swear to God, they just, it's like a black hole. It sucks me in. Okay, next. The next thing I want to talk about is the Sugarpill Fun Size 2 palette. I'm glad I skipped this, mostly because I already owned the volume 1. Well, I owned it. I decluttered it, and I literally never used it. It's not that it was bad. I actually have a whole video where I reviewed it. God, I wish I could remember the video, but I remember reviewing it on my channel. That was the only time I ever used it. Like, I'm not kidding. The only time I ever used it. It's not that it was bad. The colors were really pretty. I made a really cute look with it. I wasn't mad at it. The pigment was there. All of that good stuff, right? I think the biggest reason I didn't use it was simply because the color story is very sort of light and sort of pastel-y. And this one does have a little bit more depth to it, a little bit more dimension to it, but ultimately I'm just not super drawn to this color story at all. Despite how cute I think this is, and despite how good I think Sugarpill shadows are, I feel like sometimes with makeup, with especially brands that we love, we sometimes buy palettes that we maybe aren't the most interested in color story-wise, and maybe wouldn't use the most just because we love the formula. And I love the Sugarpill eyeshadow palette formula. I think it's amazing. I really think it's so good. I'm not drawn to this color story in the slightest. There's 4 shades that I really like that I think I could make a lot of use out of, but I already own those shades in other formulas that are just as good. I remember when Anastasia palettes were huge and like were really good and they weren't coming out with them as often, I would buy almost every single one simply because I loved the formula so much. And it led to me buying ones that I wasn't even really crazy about color story wise. Like the Riviera palette, I had literally no interest in, but I just felt like I needed to own it. And it's kind of a similar thing with the first Sugarpill palette. And in turn, this one, my initial gut instinct was like, oh my God, I need those. I want those because I love the brand. I love the packaging. I love the formula. But the reality is that this would have gotten here. I probably would have used it once or twice and then it would have sat in my drawer completely unused. I feel like the lesson here, not to get all teachery, but I feel like the lesson here is that just because something is good doesn't mean it needs to be yours. I feel like a lot of time in makeup, we fall into this hype of like, oh my God, it's so good. So like we must have it because we couldn't possibly not have this thing with this formula, with this color. And it's like, no, you can. Something can be good and perfectly fine and work well, and you can still just not vibe with it as a person. If it doesn't fit what you use makeup for, there isn't really a benefit or a point to having it. Okay, next. I talked about this in my video I did where I talk about makeup I literally don't remember from 2021, and this is a similar message. This is the Hermes highlighters. Also in here I have the Hermes blushes. Let's just group them all together. I'm glad I didn't buy either of these, and I'm glad I skipped these. The highlighter mostly because I'm glad that I didn't fall into the sort of like cuteness of it. I feel like I always am really, really suckered in by luxury brands because they have the most beautiful embossings on all of their stuff, and it just looks so sleek and luxe and like bougie, and I always get sucked into it, but the products are never that amazing. And also on top of that, a gold highlighter. Do you know how many fucking gold highlighters I have? I don't need another gold highlighter. You probably don't need another gold highlighter. We all have gold highlighters at this point. We especially don't need one that's like $60 something. With the blushes, it's a very similar thing. I'm really glad I skipped these blushes despite being kind of interested by them, because at the end of the day, I have a bajillion things that are exactly identical to these Hermes blushes. It's not like they have a particularly different formula or a particularly different color that they're putting out or anything like that. This is all just the same thing. Also high key, and this is like kind of a different video idea of like makeup. I don't like makeup companies I don't support or whatever. I don't really like the idea of supporting Hermes because they do one of the stupidest things on the planet, which is Birkins. And I hate it. I fell down a rabbit hole a couple years ago all about like Birkins and like how you get a Birkin, how you buy a Birkin, how you like have to go about it. And at the time I was like, oh my God, that's crazy. And now I'm sort of in a like fuck Hermes mindset. Like I just think if you don't know about the Birkin thing, I'll give you a brief rundown. Basically they have this bag, it's called a Birkin. They also have Kelly bags that are also like super exclusive. And that's the whole point of them is you can't just walk into an Hermes store and be like, hey, could I get a Birkin? They're gonna be like, no. The only way you can get one through like walking into a store is literally if you fly to Paris. That is how you could get a Birkin offhandedly. If you don't go to Paris, no other chance. You can't just like walk in and be like, can I have one? And also if you do go to Paris, you literally have to get like interviewed to get a Birkin. They have to deem you worthy enough to offer you a Birkin. I've watched a billion videos on this. I could make a whole video about the Birkin thing. I think it's fucking craziness. But anyway, you literally have to interview to spend $12,000 on a handbag, but like that's fine. Anyway, you can't just like go into a store and buy one. You literally have to like buy things from Hermes and build up sort of like a roster with them, build up a list that you're like a dedicated client, and then maybe, just maybe, if you get the right sales associate and it's a summer solstice and the sundial is perfectly set at 1 p.m., maybe then your sales associate will call you and get you a Birkin. It's fucking nuts. And also the resale on these things, because they're so rare, is also fucking nuts. They can resell, a $10,000 bag will resell for like $40,000. What? So I just hate Hermes on principle now because like I already like I have a love-hate with luxury. I've talked about this in videos so many times, but I have like a love-hate with luxury fashion because I'm very interested in it and I really like some of the stuff, but I also just like struggle with the elitism of it all. And I feel like Hermes as a brand, not just the makeup brand, but like as like a clothing and purse and whatever the fuck company, I struggle with Hermes because like I like some of their stuff, but I hate the way that they do business, and I think it's so disgusting the way that they do business, and it makes me literally never want to buy anything from them. Makeup, anything. Like it makes me never want to buy things from them because I just hate the way that they operate, and I hate the way that you literally have to like interview to get one of these fucking bags. It just blows my mind. Anyway, I'm glad I skipped this makeup. I'm glad I'm like not really putting it, although it doesn't matter. They have so much money. My purchase doesn't take money away from them, but I'm glad that I never purchased these because I don't think they would have been anything special. They just would have been some bougie makeup that just like sat in my drawers and collected dust at the end of the day. The next product is the liquid blushes from KVD Beauty. Ultimately, I didn't really buy any liquid blushes this year. I'm trying to think if I bought any. I don't think I did. I didn't really buy any liquid blushes. I bought one liquid highlighter and I regretted it. I need to stop just buying liquid products in general. I love a cream product. A cream product, I could do that all day. Like I love a cream bronzer, a cream blush, a cream highlighter. I love all of that. Liquid anything, I hate it. Number one, I hate the mess. I've talked about this before. I'm gonna literally yell it till I'm blue in the face. Makeup should not be this hard. Like there is no reason that makeup should be this difficult, and using a liquid product that is like a base product, like a blush, a highlighter, a bronzer, liquid anything, they're so difficult to use, especially when they come in this like squeezy top. There's no regulation in the sort of packaging that will help you get less product than you need. So you're probably gonna end up with too much product. Liquid products like this are always a little bit more tricky to blend out. Like you have to really go in there and like really just get it done. Like you have to blend out for eternity to make it look even somewhat decent. And because you always end up with too much product when it's packaging like this, it always ends up looking just really splotchy and silly. And on top of that, again, it's not that I'm over blush because I actually love blush, but I'm just glad I didn't get too many blushes this year. I'm glad I wasn't expanding my shades of freaking neutral mauvey pink and like orangey toned blushes because that's like all I have. And that's all this collection offers me. Cute concept, like cute packaging, on trend. I commend them for that, but like, God, am I glad I skipped this. Liquid stuff are always just such a mess for me. Maybe I'm just lazy with my makeup. I actually am. I am lazy with my makeup. But in order to be a smart consumer, you have to know yourself. And I know myself, and I know I'm lazy, and I know that I wouldn't have liked this. Next we have the Maybelline Fit Me Tinted Moisturizer. I was in a very sort of skin tint light coverage foundation phase for the past year. I've been obsessed with them. I try every new one that comes out. Love some of them, hate some of them. I'm glad that I didn't buy this one from Maybelline, mostly because I think I would have been buying it because I feel like the Fit Me line is just very popular. And I will say some of the products from that line I really enjoy. Like I really like the Maybelline Fit Me loose powder. I think that's it. I didn't really like the foundation, didn't really like the concealer, didn't really like the pressed powder, but the loose powder absolutely slaps. Such a good product, regardless. I think I would have really only been buying this because number one, it's very affordable, and number two, it has like that sort of Fit Me branding, so I would have been curious since I've tried all of the other Fit Me products. I think there should be more conversation around the fact that drugstore makeup, just because it's affordable doesn't mean you need like an excess of it. I've been really trying to like declutter my life a little bit lately and trying to only keep things that I really feel like I need. And I've been successful in some ways and unsuccessful in others, but like I am trying. In reality, I think that I personally just need to be more picky about like sheer quantity of stuff that I'm bringing into my life. I feel like this is something that I would have probably bought for a review or to post about on my channel. And then if I loved it, I probably would have used it, but I probably wouldn't have loved it because I don't like any other products from the Fit Me line besides that loose setting powder. I don't like their concealer. I don't like the foundations. Like I'm not a fan of any of the other Fit Me products, so I probably would not have liked it, and then it just would have sat in my drawer and gone unused, and it would have been such a waste, not only of money, but also just like an environmental waste, and it would have just been one more thing in my life that I'm not using and adding to like the clutter of my life. So I am glad I skipped this. I did see it got decent reviews though, so like that's good, but it didn't need to be reviewed on my channel. I didn't need to like show it off for other people to know if it was good or not. Just kind of one of those things. I think there's a weird parallel with being a content creator where it's like you can justify any purchase by being like, oh, I'm gonna review it. So you can justify purchases like this, or any of these I could have justified with a purchase of like, well, I'll talk about it in a video, or like I'll review it. You can justify any of those things, but at the end of the day, it's so much better to not have the clutter in your life. And I try now, especially, to like stick to only talking about products or reviewing products in a more long-term form. First of all, like I like to really try things out before I talk about them and not give first impressions. That's just number one. And then number two, I like to only do that with products that I'm already interested in myself. The beauty community on YouTube is so wide and so vast that there are gonna be people who are gonna review products that are gonna have like a similar skin type, a similar skin tone, who are actually interested in that product and wanted to try it for themselves anyway, where it doesn't need to be me or some other creator who like literally doesn't care about this product and has no interest in it reviewing it. Okay, next we have this little palette from Stila. I am glad that I didn't buy this because this is the problem with Stila. I love their glitter formula in their palettes. This palette looks to me, based on pictures and swatches I saw, I like watched a couple review videos of this palette, it looked to me like it had very similar shimmers to those palettes they had a while back where I was like obsessed with the shimmers, but the mattes were so subpar. Like I would have kept that palette forever had it just been all shimmers, but I literally decluttered it because the mattes were so difficult, hard to use and hard to blend that I had like no patience for it. I almost bought this because I felt like it had an interesting color story with the mattes. Like I felt like there was a lot you could do with that, and the shimmers looked gorgeous. However, the reality is I'm gonna hate half of the shades in this palette. The matte shades I am not going to like and I am not going to use. And I'll tell you what else I'm not going to do. I'm not going to pull out an entire palette just to use one shimmer shade on my lid just because I'm feeling it. I have teal, purple, gold, and like a darker black shimmers all either in other palettes or like in little pot shimmers that I own. This would have added no extra value to my life or to my makeup collection. And if you only like 50% of a palette, there is no reason to buy that palette. I feel like I fall into this trap a lot where I love glitter toppers. Like when I say love, I mean love. I love glitter toppers. They're like my favorite thing on the planet. I love them so much. However, I sometimes get a little blinded when I see palettes like this because I see the glitter toppers and I'm like, I must buy. Like the makeup goblin, as Nisa would say, it wakes inside of me and it's like glitter. But ultimately, I wouldn't reach for this palette because if the mattes suck, I'm not gonna use it. And I need to recognize that about myself and turn the makeup goblin the other direction and keep it moving. I need to stop buying things just because they have pretty glitter in them. I like really need to stop. So I'm glad I did not buy this palette for that reason. This one might surprise people because I don't really buy from Too Faced Cosmetics. They're not a brand that I support usually. However, okay. I have this thing with butterflies. This is very random, but I have this thing with butterflies where I really love butterflies. I don't know why. I was actually talking about it with my husband's brother the other day, and he was like, oh, it's your mom animal. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he was like, every mom has like an animal that they're obsessed with, or like just something they're obsessed with that's like this random inanimate object or animal that they like collect, and it's all over their house. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, my mom does love trees. Anything with trees she's like obsessed with. And pretty much every like mom that I know does have like that one thing that they're obsessed with. So maybe I'm entering like my mom era. I'm not having kids anytime soon. Hannah, don't even put that in the universe. Okay, so maybe I'm entering my like fake mom era, and all of a sudden butterflies, I'm obsessed with them. Anything that has a butterfly on it, I want it. Anything that looks butterfly in vibe, I want it. Like, I have become obsessed with all things butterflies. I think they're the most beautiful little things, and I love them on everything. They make me happy. Like, they bring me a sheer, I don't know how else to explain it other than like things with butterflies on it just make me happy. Like, I love them. Anyway, Too Faced came out with this butterfly palette. You can see my problem. It's a makeup palette that has freaking butterflies on it, and I love butterflies. I'm happy I didn't buy this. I'm happy I will continue to not buy this because, number one, the color story very much reminds me of the Midas Cosmetics Flower Bomb palette, which is one of my favorite palettes, but I already have it, and I love that palette, and I use it all the time. It's like such a good palette. I love it for these more spring toned colors. This is kind of like a watered down basic version of that palette, which I already own and love. Additionally, it's fucking Too Faced, and I don't like them. The quality is too hit or miss. They're incredibly problematic. I made a whole video about why I don't like them, but I don't support Too Faced. So I would have been mad at myself if I'd bought from a brand that I like didn't really support just because you like what's on top of it. Don't buy things for the packaging. I have to remind myself of this all the time, and I feel like this is a prime example of me really just wanting to buy this for the packaging, for the gimmick. I could really just buy like an empty magnetic palette, put butterfly stickers all over it, and put shades I already own into, I should do that. Why don't I do that? That's a great idea. I have an abundance of butterfly stickers. So why don't I just buy an empty magnetic palette, make my own palette of beautiful colors that look like butterflies, and put butterfly stickers all over it. And then I'll have the same exact thing, except it's shades I actually like, and it probably will not cost me $54. I was tempted on this. You know what really got me? It wasn't even the packaging being covered in butterflies, because I did love that, but the embossings of butterflies on that big brown shade, it almost got me. I'm ashamed to admit it, but it almost got me. I saw that and I was like, oh my God, all the butterflies. I love butterflies. I'm sorry. The final thing I want to talk about is the Rose Quartz palette from Huda Beauty. Now, basically, there's some backstory to this. Every year for Christmas, one of the things I always ask my mom for, because she asks us for like a list. She gets us like other things too, but she likes to have a list that she can base things off of. One of the things I asked my mom for Christmas was usually every year since I actually started my YouTube channel. One of the things I've asked for Christmas has always been the Christmas Huda Beauty palette, because she always puts out a palette this time of year. There was like the rose gold, the ones that have like the textured shades in them. There was the dusk palette. There was the naughty palette. Like, she comes out with a palette like this every year. So usually every year for Christmas, that's on my list. Like, I always get those without fail. It's almost become a bit of a weird collector's mentality, which is not good. I don't like having that collector's mentality. I think it's silly. But I think the biggest reason that I didn't even think to put this on a Christmas list this year, and I didn't even think to buy it, it's just because a lot of her palettes, especially in recent years, they all honestly kind of blend together in my brain. Like, I feel like the first couple were really unique and different, and now they all just sort of blend together. I could use the dusk palette and the naughty palette on the same, like, different eyes, and they would be the same look from different palettes. While this one does look a little bit more unique and a little bit more interesting, I just don't find myself gravitated towards those palettes anymore. And the only reason I even thought for a second, like, oh my God, I kind of want this, is because I have all of the other ones. So it's like this weird collector's mentality of like, well, I have all the other ones, so I should be a completionist and like complete the collection that I have going of all of these different palettes. And the reality is I don't need to do that. Also, ever since she switched to this like plastic packaging instead of whatever she had, I think it was cardboard, the first packages. Now she has this plastic packaging. I just feel like the quality of the shadows has gone down. I don't know if that's just a me thing, but I feel like those first couple of palettes that were in the cardboard packaging were actually really good quality and just really stunning and beautiful. Like the Nudes palette, the Desert Dusk palette, the Rose Gold Neutrals palette. Like I felt like those were all amazing quality palettes that I really love. And once they switched over to this packaging, I feel like the quality has just really gone downhill. And also they did that weird fungus thing again. And I don't know why. I don't know why they keep doing this weird fungus thing. I hate it. I wish they would stop it. It's really unsettling to look at in an eyeshadow palette. Anyway, that was makeup that I am really glad I skipped this year. Let me know in the comments down below makeup that you are glad that you skipped. I would love to know what you guys skipped this year. I love you guys so much. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, or just subscribe, or do neither. Honestly, just so happy you're watching me. Thank you so much for being here. My merch, including my limited edition Glomus merch, my social medias, and my other 2 channels where I'm uploading daily in the month of December will be linked down below, along with a list of places and organizations you can donate to this holiday season if you want to give back. I love you guys so much, and I will see you tomorrow for the next day of Glomus. Bye!